Barb, welcome
Thank
to RSIR.
you. So happy to be here.
And welcome to our podcast. We want to get to know you a little bit. You've had a storied career. I've admired you across the fence line with some of the other companies that you've been associated with. And I'm just so elated to move from a competitive position into one of collaboration with you.
I'm very glad to be here. I want to say that first. I couldn't be happier. And you and I obviously have been talking off and on for 5 years about this.
So now's the time, Barb.
Very excited to be here.
Well, I think the time is right for this alignment. And, going back to your experience as a chief revenue officer, you were really responsible for the ascension of that prior company. And you have great accolades, multiple offices, hundreds of agents that you have brought into the organization, but also excelling them through some of your certifications because you're quite passionate in training and education.
I am, and I'm also a certified coach. I did that along the way too. And I just really believe that one of the most important things as a agent / broker that you have to have is confidence.
Yeah.
And confidence comes from preparation. You know the contracts, you know the marketing, you know the market you're in. And so I love helping brokers with that. And I love helping them solve difficult problems. I love to meet new brokers all the time, which, in this new position with you, I get to do that a lot. So that's, kind of where I'm at, where I want to be.
And I love that it's all local knowledge and you have so many wonderful relationships in title, escrow, mortgage, and multiple different companies so that you see all those perspectives. And I really feel that we're at this inflection point. We've got some pretty aggressive goals for growth that'll be organic, one-on-one welcoming of new agents to the company. There could be some mergers and acquisitions. And also equally important is our existing roster and helping them accelerate themselves and ascend to building teams and just increasing their production at this time in our industry, which has a lot of exciting changes coming to it as well, right? Obviously, the global scene of real estate residential as we know it is changing with this impending Compass and Anywhere merger and acquisition. What are some of your thoughts on that? That's before us here in the next year.
I don't see a lot of change with the purchase of the Anywhere company by Compass.
Okay.
And I say that because I think that we should take Revkin at his word.
Yep.
What he said was that the brands will remain the same. And that's good for consumers. I really believe that it's important that they all stay intact because consumers should have the right to have choices in any type of business. So I don't see it as being a bad thing. I mean, of course, like everybody, I thought quite a bit about it for a few days. And then after a while, I thought, this is, they're obviously planned to help make all the companies they're buying that much more successful.
Well, they're going to add the tech to us, and that's been noted. And I think when number one and number two come together, there's been a long history of consolidation and improvements and efficiencies, which makes sense. And I think the Sotheby's International Realty flag is going to help dramatically expand the referral network, not just interstate, but internationally. And that was likely one of the key choices of acquiring properties in the Christie's International Real Estate several years ago. And we can see by the performance of those two brands that they've endured and continued. So I'm very excited for it. I think the best will just get better. And that is also in part why our timing of coming together and, exploring this runway that we have for us, because we want these first-class seats that we've been sitting in, to, hit a higher cruising altitude and go further for our brokers.
Absolutely.
And there's so much opportunity. We come from an abundance mindset here in the Pacific Northwest. Very exciting changes before us too. What are some of your thoughts on those changes? If we look at artificial intelligence, for one, how's that going to change?
Well, it's interesting. I've done my own research on it because I think it's easy just to read what everybody else thinks. But what I looked into was, what does AI think about it?
Okay, yeah,
what does AI think about what the life of a real estate broker is going to look like as AI, over the next 5 years? And it's really interesting because when they look at the different fields that, professions, people that are going to be more and more needed are psychologists and psychiatrists, because we're moving into this AI movement where everything is automated and that, it's lost the human touch. So I believe it's going to be a great time for our brokers to, really realize the value they have because of their relational skills.
Right.
And all the things they learn by counseling clients. That's going to be even more important. So I don't see any change as far as, artificial intelligence taking over the life of a broker. I just don't see it. I think we are going to become more powerful.
That's right. And it's going to add to those efficiencies as a thought partner, not a replacement, as
Right.
we do our business forward. And let's talk about some of the other trends that are before us here in the Pacific Northwest. As you know, we have this new capital gains tax, which is causing some flight of high net worth individuals into other states. Also, the estate tax dynamic is causing some to choose the sunset of life in another destination. Maybe that's Arizona or Florida that have no estate taxes, such as Washington State. These are, of course, part of the silver tsunami trend or the aging demographic. And, personally, I feel very well positioned for this discussion for our brokers, having the referral networks that we have at Sotheby's International Realty, being a very trusted brand, with those relationships with attorneys and wealth management companies, and really positioning our firm more as a real estate advisor, a global real estate advisor, not just a broker focused on a transaction. We are focused on the relationship and the entire ecosystem that surrounds that lifestyle. What are your thoughts on the alignments as we go forward and finish the second half of this decade, and your choice to be with RSIR at this time of growth?
Well, I believe that it is an excellent opportunity to grow with this company because I love the alignment that you're doing with all of these different professionals. It makes so much sense. And as the cost of housing gets higher and higher, and our commissions, we're paid a lot of money for what we do. We earn it, but we're paid a lot of money. And so you need to be able to coach the client in any way they need it. And that means being able to align with people like that. The other thing that I like that you've really done, Dean, is the bringing in the Delaware Statutory Trust, because most all of our clients, if they've owned their house for 10 years or more, are going to own some or are going to owe some type of capital gains tax,
for sure,
depending on what it is. And it's an enormous amount of money if you've been sitting on a multi-million-dollar house for several years. And so what happens with these clients? They're paralyzed. Well, we have the solution for them. We know how to fix that situation, get them out of their home, and move on and start enjoying their life with less house and less trouble to take care of. Meanwhile, one of these tech gurus that we've got in our marketplace can come in and then they can take over the ownership of that house, because we are not seeing movement in the, we'll call it Area 520, talking about our brokers. We're not seeing the movement like we should. We've got many people. I've done that research when I worked in Delaware Statutory Trust. We have so many people that have homes that are worth over $5 million that are just sitting there for 30, 40, 50 years. And it isn't necessarily that they want to stay there. They simply don't want to pay the tax. So we have solutions for clients when it comes to things like this.
Well, and you're unlocking that equity. And I know we spent some time talking about other divisions like property management as well, because there's been, some capitulation in the markets recently, because I think median home prices have cooled off somewhat from their meteoric runs. And we're clearly at this inflection point where there's some questions about AI and its role with jobs. And what's more important, is it the stock value or the number of jobs that are held? Personally, I trust these tech titans to lead their companies forward. And if the stock value is a prediction of their future, we can see that investors and Wall Street are definitely behind their investment in artificial intelligence. But if you look at the housing market, there are some folks that maybe don't want to sell right now. They want to hold out for a couple of years. And so doing executive rentals makes sense.
It does.
And you've got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I really believe that. And at the last company I worked with, they did have a very large property management company. And it turned out to be a very large percentage of the income for that brokerage. And we have many clients right now. So there's opportunities that we could have if we worked in that. For instance, our agents, once they know they have a really great property management arm, they're going to be able to sell more investment properties to their clients because they can feel good about sending them to our partners in property management. And so they're well taken care of. When the house, it needs to be sold, whenever that is, 7, 10, 12 years later, then the property management people will come right back to the agent that referred the business and send it back. So I think it's going to be a big part of our future. I think it's going to be a very big part of our future. And I think we're going to get a percentage of people, just like in New York, a very large percentage there, that will never own real estate. I think we're at that point where real estate is so expensive for some people. They may, if they want to live in an urban environment, or they want to live in the greater Seattle or Bellevue area, there's a possibility that some people will choose only to rent for their whole life.
It could be. Well, we need to serve all quadrants of the market. And, I'm so proud of the company that we keep and our journey over these last 15 years. But now we're looking at other augments like title, escrow, mortgage, a robust referral market. Clearly, the new construction, the new development ecosystem is well in place. And now into property management with some of your help is definitely our future forward. So, Barb, let's switch gears a little bit and look more at you as an individual and your craft and your accomplishments in this industry, which has been exclusively in residential brokerage. What is your why?
I think my why, you have your personal why and you have your professional why. My professional why, I am a servant leader. That is what my joy is showing, teaching, helping lift other people up to be successful. And that is why I, went into management eventually, was that I no longer got that great fix on doing deals myself.
I see.
I got more happiness out of helping other people do deals or be successful. And so that's why I made the switch. So my why really is attached to a servant leadership personality. And then, of course, I have my personal whys. I'm a musician. I took opera lessons, so I'm a singer. But mostly my life revolves around, my husband. My sun rises and sets on my husband.
Okay.
And my son, my dog, I have wonderful friends, great family. But from a professional standpoint, servant leadership is everything to me. And when I want to finish a day out, I want to know, because I did X, Y, and Z, I helped so-and-so.
Right.
That is my 100% how, that's my North Star.
I love that. And you've built so many enterprises and distinct divisions, whether it's at the branch level or as a chief revenue officer for a very large brokerage. What do you see as an alignment with your talents as a builder and the current positioning of Realogics, Sotheby's, International Realty, and our leadership team in this market at this time?
I do believe that one of the uniquenesses of this company that is a neutral thing. It's not good or bad, but the fact that you do not own other companies at the same time, whether that be a mortgage, title, escrow, whatever that is, or property management, something like that. So I see going forward that being huge, and that will really help the brokers, because they will align these different, especially in the property management, these different relationships that will bring them more business too. Because it's so wonderful how it works when you have that within your company, because the business goes back and forth. And then you feel more confident selling commercial property or residential investment property to your clients, because they're going to be so safe with these people that you partner with to manage those properties. So I think that's really exciting. And then also the growth going north and south and maybe east, right? to look at, well, is there an opportunity in Snohomish? Is there an opportunity in Gig Harbor? Tremendous opportunity available in Bellingham. I love the fact that if that's something you as an owner choose to do, I know people in all of those markets. And so I think that's really exciting.
Well, Barb, I got to say that as you explored some prop tech companies and then, tax deferral strategies with the DST company, now you've made your way full circle back into brokerage. I mean, you have a very holistic viewpoint of the industry as a producer, as a manager in corporate, as well as some of the ancillary businesses that surround this ecosystem. I've always respected you for working in some of those large companies as well, and for being a very vocal leader and a female local leader in sometimes what can feel like a really blue suit environment. And an East Coast mindset, if you will. And you've been inherently local your entire life. You've earned a terrific reputation as a leader and as somebody that is really invested in the productivity of the people that you are guiding and the companies that you're ascending. Thank you for being with us at Realogics, Sotheby's International Realty, and being part of this important chapter leading us into our next. And I just couldn't be more excited about where we're heading and the fact that we get to do this working directly with each other to ascend together. Appreciate that.
I do too. Thank you so much. I'm humbled by that. And I am so looking forward to working with you too. And a lot of the things that I've already seen as your company has been moving up over the years is you have accomplished things that nobody else has. Nobody in this marketplace can say they have the highest average sell price. Only you can. The highest commission, the highest unit sales. All of those things are the pillars of what makes a successful brokerage. So I am so grateful to work with you because you've done that. And the fact that you choose not to work as a broker yourself and compete with your agents is huge. That makes a big difference. And the whole mindset of your company is so much more than a real estate brokerage. It is lifestyle. And clients appreciate that. And they're looking for long-term relationships just like we are. And I think what you have built is just beautiful. I couldn't be happier. And I will say too, I have seen things here that are really unique. For instance, the fact that you have dedicated so many employees to your brokers.
Right.
And they get top-notch service at a moment's notice, and nothing like I've ever seen before, and which is going to make it very easy for me when I'm recruiting.
Yeah. Well, we hope to welcome the next agents, and those per broker stats that you spoke of, didn't come easily. I mean, they were nurtured by the talented brokers that have chosen, to be in this vessel. And you're so right. We don't want to compete with our brokers. We want to collaborate, and they are the ones on the last mile with the consumer. We just want to give them every available advantage, to be them best selves. And that's not just performing locally, but across state lines and even internationally with a budding referral business. And there's just so much more. This is truly a global industry, and there's a remarkable amount of referral opportunities that are coming inbound and outbound for lifestyle reasons as well. And I'm so glad that you spoke to that, because we have unique partnerships, whether it's retail or with our wealth management companies and food and beverage, and of course with our referral destination markets. We understand that what motivates a transaction sometimes is the lifestyle benefit.
Right.
And maybe it is unlocking some equity from a home or a portfolio and doing it in a tax-friendly way like you've done with the DST division, and helping them get on to their life journey.
Right.
And, not just a new place to live, but a new way to live. And really seeing that through that entire family unit as well. I mean, we're helping their son or daughter in their first purchase, and maybe we're helping them on the estate planning side of things too, because that service mindset isn't just about the transaction. It goes so much further than that.
It does. And I would also say that this referral program And I have spoken a lot with Val Burmester about it since I joined the company. Val and I worked together years ago, so I'm really glad to have the ability to work with her now. But she and I have discussed extensively the referrals and how they go back and forth and the different types of affiliations that are different groups within Sotheby's around the world, which I have never seen before. The other thing that is so unique about it is these referrals are coming agent to agent a lot of the time. When I was working at another one of the large Anywhere brands, that was not the case. There was a relocation department and they were dealing with team agents only. But this, where you're actually getting a lot of referral business back and forth, agent to agent, that is really unique. That's something real estate companies talk about, but they don't deliver.
And we're a family business in that sense. Like I am so proud of the company we keep, and it does feel like an extension of our family, the family that you choose, the brokers you associate with. But it's just that way around the 1,000 offices throughout the world. And each of our agents have done a fabulous job at making their own conduits, their own connections. And they can do that, directly, agent to agent, or they can go through our relocation and referral department and help package that. I mean, some of the success stories that we've had have even been working with other interstate agents that are in a lifestyle product line. For one agent comes to mind right now, and it was a state property, a ranch that was in demand, and it wasn't certain whether it was going to be in Colorado, Texas, Montana, Idaho, or Washington State. There's ranch properties in each of those markets for sure, and others, but those were sort of on the wish list for this prospective buyer. And rather than working competitively saying, no, choose Washington, choose Idaho, this particular broker decided to create a consortium of interests to say, we've got you, and we're going to showcase all of our markets, and we'll work it out behind the scenes in terms of how the compensation, because we want you to win first before any individual agent worries about, their commission. And so it was so endearing to see that kind of a collaboration, knowing that it's the client's interest first, and we can use the power of this network to serve them right, irrespective of our individual interests.
And it's just fabulous. And again, reiterating that this really happens. This isn't something you talk about. It's happening. And in all my years of real estate, never seen it happening. Not to this level. Also, the different groups that agents that work for Sotheby's around the world are involved in together. The ski group, the horse group. There's, I think, over 200 different groups that you can join with other Sotheby's agents, travel groups, all sorts of things. And again, I've never seen that before. And it's been a long time for me, so when I hadn't seen something.
So Barb, I just returned back from our leadership forum with the best and brightest minds in our affiliate services group and throughout other franchise owners and top managers throughout the network. And among the accolades, it was announced that Sotheby's International Realty is now the #1 social media footprint for visibility globally as a luxury brand, and is already dominant in terms of its recognition as a brand that has been established since 1744, but now has also included the #1 positioning for editorial mentions with third-party publications that are coming to this brand, to our brokers, for opinions on market trends. And that is including the maximum visibility that we can provide for our broker partners, but also for their listings, to make sure that they are getting the attention that they deserve. And that isn't something that happens by chance. That is something that has happened organically now that we're coming up on our 50th anniversary for Sotheby's International Realty brand. We'll be celebrating in next fall in San Francisco. It's going to be part of our global networking event. It's going to be a very auspicious time for us on the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, likely in the year that we will see a closing between the Compass and Anywhere brand merger and acquisition, when #1 and #2 come together. I mean, the best will just become better together. And I feel that we're at this inflection point, politically and in the economic cycle as well, kind of getting through the turbulence of 2025 and a lot of that change, but getting the second half of this decade, which could be meteoric. But I think it's going to really matter about, which company you choose to associate with. What are your views for agents that might be thinking about making a move, and what does that process look like?
Well, I guess if I were an agent thinking about making a move, things are going to change. I think for the better for us. I really do believe that as brokers, we will really come out smelling like a rose with AI. And what will happen is, again, what I was talking about earlier is being relational, being a counselor, being the expert in the marketplace, offering all these other services and professionals. All of that's going to matter. And I do believe, too, for this company is that you can work here, and there are so many examples of brokers that have come here from other brokerages where their income goes up as much as 25% in the first year. And that is because of, obviously, the tremendous support they have here, so they don't have to worry about the little things, but also because the brand is so beautiful. And that's how the public looks at the brand. That listing sign in the front yard matters a lot.
It does matter. And a lot of times our brokers are reporting back that they feel that they've won the listing before they stepped across the threshold. But it matters the company you keep, right? And,
Yes.
The reputation that you protect, and the promise and the level of service. That's
Right.
going to be at all property types and price points. So as a potential new member to our family, what would be the process and what level of discretion are you able to offer them if they wanted to inquire what a future could look like with Realogics Sotheby's?
Well, I think that every meeting is confidential, completely confidential, and it can be held either, at a separate place. It can be done all by phone, on Teams meetings, whatever was what they wanted. But I think that it's something, really. So, for instance, I have some brokers that I'm talking to right now, and they are doing a lot of transactions, 40 plus transactions as a team. And there's only one thing that they haven't been able to do, and that is get over that hump of getting into the higher price range homes. And if they were to come here, and of course this is what I will talk to them about, is that they're going to see their price range go up right away. They will now be considered for things they may not have been considered for before. And so I think that's huge for people that are, it takes a lot of time to sell 20 homes a year or 40 homes a year. It takes a lot of time. So what if you could go somewhere where your average sell price goes up?
Right.
The company's retained a very high commission, not high commission, full commission. Why wouldn't you go there? It's going to give you more free time for the rest of your life with your family and your friends and everything else you want to do. If you work for a company where your average sales price goes up like that,
Right.
That's time back in your hands.
Well, one of the trends that we're seeing with our legacy plan is the notion of building a team and structuring such as part of this lifestyle brand to exercise more travel and more diversity in terms of the markets that you will serve, not just yourself as the principal agent, but with your teammates, right? And we have 6 beautiful offices located throughout central Puget Sound. And, the distinction for us is you as a broker partner can visit any one of those branch offices and be served equally as if you were a local there. Or you might have a teammate on your team that you either have a referral partner or that might be a dedicated teammate that's stationed in a different branch location, serving a different property type or price point. And then, of course, you add to that the referral network, and now you're serving, lifestyle markets, destination communities that are very popular for our consumer here in the Pacific Northwest, and presenting yourself as a global real estate advisor where the world becomes your audience and they see you as being that iconic team here in the Puget Sound region to serve all the different referral opportunities that come. And that could be as a principal residence, investment property, or even developments. And we've watched this happen. So maybe speak a little bit about the demographics of our aging, community of brokers that have maybe been longliners at some of these other companies that don't really encourage team development and maybe don't have the same kind of lifestyle connections or distribution network that we do through Sotheby's International Realty. This could be their next and final move to create a legacy of their own as part of a plan of team development.
Absolutely. And first, I'd like to say that the one thing we always have to remember about wealthy people is they have options.
Right.
They have options that the rest of society doesn't have. So it's perfectly normal for them to say, I'm going to buy something, but it may be in one of these 3 states. So it makes sense that we're doing that work. The downside of that, of course, is wealthy people don't have to do anything. So you really do need to have this versatility where you have partners all around the world that can sell them things, if you want to be able to be involved in all their transactions.
So as we're exploring a new chapter for our company and we're talking to some very notable principal brokers that are exploring a new chapter for their own legacy, including team development, what are some distinctions about RSIR and our brand that is really aligned with that lifestyle aspiration and, the ability to build a team and, maybe retire without retiring your annuity?
Yeah, and I think that, the legacy program at RSIR is fantastic. And what happens sometimes is that we know we're going to retire, but we don't think about, okay, well, what's that going to look like for my real estate career?
Sure,
and
succession, yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of agents just think of it's over, right? And if somebody calls me, I'll send a referral out, but, it's done. But through the legacy program, your business can keep going.
Sure.
And we support that and we help you find the right team members. And, I've done this and seen so many times where it has been not successful. And I think that brokers need to really talk to their leaders in the company about what should this look like? Because you need to have someone that is similar to you and treats clients the same way. And you need to be able to reach different types of agents to help them too for different areas around the world too.
Right. So it is a combination of structuring your team, being tapped into this network, and being very intentional about your retirement while maintaining that annuity with your team. And it's very possible.
It is.
And it's the legacy plan that we're building. And truly, the legacy of our brokers is going to be my legacy. Having not sold real estate myself, I realize that that's my purpose as the captain of this vessel, is to create the best potential cruise forward for the legacy plan that we're speaking of.
Yeah, and I would say also that legacy plans take time. So if this is something you're thinking about, we're the company to come to for this because we're going to put the time in with you. We're going to show you examples of successful successions. We can show you that because it's got to be at least 2 years where, there's your face that they're used to seeing for all those years, but you've got to add the new people in. And you can't just quit one day and be in the background. It
Right.
takes a couple of years before those other people that are part of your team get credibility with your clients.
Right. So a couple of lightning round questions for you. What's some words that you would use to describe the culture here at Realogics Sotheby's?
I would say it's one of the most nurturing cultures I have ever been in. And I want to get back to this. There are so many people to help brokers all the time. And this may seem normal to you. It's not normal in the industry. They're used to trying to hunt down somebody to help with this or that. And you've done a beautiful job at making sure that you have enough employees so that everybody is always cared for, their needs are met. If they're under the gun and they need something quickly, it's going to happen. And I think that is super important.
And you've witnessed our Futurecast forum and this whole notion of content marketing and trying to get to where the market's going next and being there first and, understanding these trend lines before they become headlines. And sometimes they're around complicated topics like, the great wealth transition and also the silver tsunami and, wealth. I'm sorry, let me package this again. Where I'm trying to go is, I do think what we're doing is novel with our FutureCast forum, and I believe it's my job to see around the corner and be visionary. And just like we have been with our retail locations or our magazines or Asia Services Group, or what we've done in social media, what we've done with events, including the FutureCast forum, right? So what I'm trying to get from our conversation is that agents realize that there is more here, that we are providing content to start conversations that resolve in transactions, and that they're learning, they're becoming inspired and activated, and it's opposed to just sending out postcards and hoping for the best. We want to resist commoditization.
Right. And I have seen all sorts of research on what wealthy clients want, and it's very clear. They want somebody who's an expert. They want somebody who knows their local market very well and has a great team behind them, a great company they work for, great presence. It's not much more than that. And so a company like Realogics Sotheby's is providing all of this great information all the time with events, and it helps you have great conversations with the clients because nobody else is doing this. It's not apparent in any other company.
I feel like it's my belief that the status quo is just that, and I'm so eager to get to where the markets are going next so that we can have our broker partners get there first,
right,
and be not resistant but actually lean into some of the changes that are happening. For instance, this silver tsunami and the great wealth transfer is particularly poignant for me as I watch my own family do estate planning and sell a portfolio of commercial properties and maybe let go of a couple of second homes that weren't as much in use, and just trying to resolve the next chapter of life, and doing the estate planning that includes tax deferral strategies like the Delaware Statutory Trust, and considering making moves into less tax burdened markets when it comes to estate planning, like Washington State, as we know. Many folks choose other markets such as Arizona or Texas or Florida as a place to retire for these reasons. Why do I say that? Because if you know how to have the conversation that leads to real estate transactions, you are going to be a better global service provider for that entire ecosystem of transactions. We are connected to the wealth managers and to the estate planning attorneys in all walks of life so that we can better serve them through our little black book. We know exactly who to contact for all those different chapters of life. And that does require sometimes unpacking complicated conversations and relating it back to our broker partners in content marketing, which is news they can use and include in their social media or have local events in our beautiful venues, to inspire and educate and activate the networks that they have.
Right. Matter of fact, one that as a new employee here that I would love to put on is one that has to do with these people around us that have been sitting on the same house for 20, 30, 40 years, that maybe they don't want to be there, but they don't want to pay the tax. So I'm just going to stay here, and when I die, my children will get the property and they won't have to pay that much income tax or none at all for some of them. But those people have options that they don't know about. So looking forward to how can we get to those clients, right? How can we bring them information that may change their minds and look at the options is what we talked about earlier, DSTs. That is a great event for this company, right? You're not going to see that at another company, but this company would do that and do really well at it. And that way they can bring their own clients in for a really good reason.
Well, Barb, thanks for sharing your story on this journey of our expansion and growth of Realogics Sotheby's International Realty. This has been Broker Perspectives. And what might be a next step for an inquiring broker partner?
Well, please reach out to me if you would be interested in having a discreet, confidential conversation about possibly joining our company. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to make a world of difference in your life.